Hello everybody, hope you guys are all having the swellest of swell weeks. Had a pretty dang good one ourselves. We here have been making some of the tough decisions about not only what the house will look like via the color of the house, but also what the backyard will eventually look like. And that's actually where I want to start this video. So if you'll follow me to our less than beautiful garage here in the back. So as a few of you guys know, this is our garage. It was probably added sometime in the 20s or 30s. It has a concrete foundation, which of course things like the house do not. It's limestone. Also, this is definitely set up for a more auto-centric society. In 1890s, not quite into the cars at that period of time, of course. So this and the driveway were of course added later. Now, if you remember last week, I was talking about the fact that this garage did not exist back in 1896 when this photo of my house was taken. And it's led me to start thinking about, well, okay, how do I want to handle this garage? There are some rather large issues with it. The main one being this roof. This roof is absolutely shot and therefore needs to be replaced. You might notice on top of all this fencing that there's a garage door and all the associated parts with the garage door. That garage door actually does fit right here and was meant for right here in this opening. But that plan did not work out for one very big reason. This is the central beam that holds up the entire roof here. All of the rafters meet here in the middle, and of course the weight's all taken to the central beam, which is inside the brick. I just noticed that crack there, but so that's a new one I've just noticed, but believe me, there's more wrong with it than just that. You can also see the light coming in right there through the roof. Now, this area has probably been leaking for, oh, I don't know, a decade, maybe longer, and it's leaked directly on top of this center beam, which when they removed the old hardware for the old garage door that used to be on here, this beam dropped about, I don't know, 6 inches and scared all the workers off, and they said, as soon as you get that fixed, we'll install your door, but until then, you're not gonna have a door, which is why I don't have a door. You can also see they took these 2x4s, and that's more or less what's keeping this beam from collapsing. So the plan is going to be to take this roof off, completely take it off, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a flat roof on this, or a very low pitched roof that pitches towards the alley back here, and add a little nice pretty cornice on it to match better with the aesthetic of the 1890s versus the 1920s here. Now with that, of course, with the photo last week, now along with seeing that structure in the 1896 photo that was here in the backyard back then, I also found this 1908 Sanborn map that shows the structure in the backyard. One of the things about this photo that's really nice too is you can see just how identical my house and Hall's house was. But via that map, I can tell that actually that structure was probably almost double the size of this garage. Some of you might know where I'm going with this, but there's a whole lot of space next to the garage right here. And in this space, I plan on adding an addition onto the garage. Of course, none of this will operate as a garage. I really don't care if my car is parked out in the elements. But what this can be is a great place for an amazing little workshop. Conveniently enough, they decided that a window was good on this side of the building. So my first thought is, well, I don't really need the window, but that would make a nice door if I make it just a little bit bigger and then build another wooden structure here. So of course it won't be brick, it won't match this. I don't have the funds for brick. So aesthetically, if you can imagine just for a moment, 2 old school looking industrial buildings. That's essentially what I'm going to have to back here. Does it match the perfect Victorian aesthetic? Not exactly, but it does give me space to put a Hall & Brown museum. And on the wooden structure itself, I will probably paint a Hall & Brown ghost ad. Or I guess since it will be a fresh painted thing, I guess it won't be a ghost ad, but a Hall & Brown era specific ad. Because more or less, this will probably be one of the largest remaining collections of Hall & Brown machinery when I'm done. And of course, this will be temporary until I can acquire this land and build the really nice carriage house with the much larger shop at the bottom. And I think with these 2 buildings combined, I would have just enough space to use all these big, beautiful machines that I own. And of course, ones I acquire in the future. Kind of a bit of a wink on that one. There's some things rumbling right now about the possibility of some stuff that I could go get which would more or less essentially set me up with a working window shop, meaning I could build my own windows, build my own doors, build other people's windows, and build other people's doors. And with the machines I've already acquired, like the lathe and stuff like that, I can put together my own staircase. When I do receive photos of the mantles, I can rebuild the mantles myself. Yeah, not to spoil anything too much, but there's some stuff coming down the pipeline that should allow me to not only restore my house, but really delve into this idea of saving lots of St. Louis properties, which of course is really kind of my passion. My dream is to be able to do that, to not only save Mr. Brown's house, but rebuild the city with his legacy. And his machines, of course. So I really like that idea. Stay tuned on that. We're not 100% there. We're not 100% guaranteed that all of this is going to happen. But if it does happen, the garage becomes priority #1 really quickly. But of course, I'll share more on that once I have better ideas of what's happening and when it's happening. Fingers crossed, because this could be something really, truly amazing, guys. All right, so you guys know what time it is. Let's get in some time lapses. Let's get back up to the Mansard roof, and let's get some more of that beautiful woodwork uncovered and ready for a new, fresh coat of paint and a new lease on life. So now look at the building down here from the bottom. You can see I've got quite a bit of the paint off. Some of this stuff is quite difficult, but man, it's starting to look so much better. And yes, I know a few of you guys asked if leaving this as exposed wood would it be something that's possible. Of course, anything is possible, but it's surely not appropriate. You know, the wood has lasted so long because it was covered in linseed oil lead paint, which of course lasts a long time. So of course it has to be coated again or else it will rot. So green light means go. All right, let's go see that corner, shall we? All right, ladies and gents, boys and girls, here we are up at the cornice level. And you can see so much of this detail has come back to life. It's really beautiful, hidden under so many layers of paint. And still a little bit left to do up here. You can see some of these areas have gotten sanded really well, some of them not so much. But just like everything else, it's a bit of a work in progress. It's especially difficult in these two areas where the two corbels meet, because a lot of the heat from the heat gun likes to go up in here. And as maybe some of you guys saw in the time lapses, I've dug plenty of birds' nests out there, which of course is terrifying because it's just made of, you know, dry little sticks that are more or less kindling. So of course, as we take off parts of the metal gutter system right here, so this is the internal gutter, just that little lip right there, and there are boards supporting it, and it's actually kind of in a concave shape at the very top up here. And everything leads down to a gutter over there that drops down, and everything leads to a downspout that's on the other side of that corbel. Of course, once we get beyond that point, I can dig out all of the bird and squirrel nests that are up inside of this thing, but I've been very careful about these areas. And I actually had to use my water hose once over on that side, just because I saw a bit more smoke than I liked. So the water hose, like I told you guys last week, is a must when you're working with the Cobra speed heater infrared heat gun like I work with. Another thing that is making this take a bit longer than I first imagined it would is the fact that I actually have to clean as much paint off of this as humanly possible. Before I was being a bit, you know, so-so with it because, you know, we're almost 40 feet in the air and you can't really see any of the imperfections from this high up. But the type of paint I'm using up here is called linseed oil paint and should allow me to not have to come back up here and re-scrape and paint this every so many years, which I think is ideal. But linseed oil paint needs a nice clean surface to really bond well to. And so that's what I'm trying to give it here. So I've really been going to town, hitting all of these details very hard, making sure they are absolutely perfectly clean. This area right here was one that was pretty exceedingly rotten. I'm pretty sure it might be really difficult. I'm pretty sure it's because of this area right here. The seam in the copper gutter up there is actually split, so water's been pouring through here. And then when you have all of the associated bird and squirrel nests inside of there that help soak and hold water, you end up with a pretty big rotten spot right there. But no worries, I already have a new corbel for that. It should be pretty easy to put that all back together. But for now, it's nice to know that it's no longer wet. Just looking down the side here, it is absolutely amazing. Here a little bit below where we just were. We were just hanging out right over there. You can also see I have left quite a bit of paint on these undersides of the gutter box itself. These boards are pretty rotten and therefore have to be replaced. So no sense wasting my time trying to strip those. So pretty much all of that the whole way around will have to be replaced, especially in areas like here where this board is really bad and there isn't one here. Same thing with this bit of crown molding that goes around the entire top. Squirrels have eaten these areas so bad, like I mentioned last week, that they're just not worth stripping. And this board here, this fascia board, I'm not quite sure if it needs to be replaced or not, so I just haven't been bothering with it. It looks okay, a little rough on the ends here and there, but overall I think it's in pretty decent shape. You can also see I got quite a bit of that side done as well, but of course it needs a sanding. So yeah, overall, starting to look quite fantastic. Did also want to point out that there is this section over here that I will have to move my lift into my driveway instead of in front of my house to really get to because of just where it's at. So I will have to make that happen at some point as well, but I just have to hook my truck up to the lift and pull it over a little bit. So that one's coming up as well. But it got very little weather, so I can already tell by just peeking over this corbel that it's actually in pretty good shape, just like this side. All the weather seems to come in from this way, so that far side over there is the one that gets it the worst, as you can tell by the way it looks. See, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out that that side of the house gets, or this side of the house gets a lot more weather than this side.
All right, everybody, so that's going to be the end of this episode. But before I let you go, I wanted to share with you something I've been working on. We're really getting close to the point now where we need to start buying paint. And so I wanted to share you this, which are currently the most up-to-date colors I have for the house. I'll explain why all of these colors sometime at a later date. But just know the green triangles on the slate and the green on the main body of the cornice, those are two colors that I can speak on with a high degree of certainty were the original colors of the house. So thank you all for being here, for sticking with me in this project. We're gonna get through it together. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your guys' week, and I'll catch you guys again next time. See you then. Bye-bye.